Hello everyone. In today's video, I am going to show you how to build this main menu using Unity. As you can see here, we have two tabs that we can click on. If I go to the test mode, you can see that it is highlighted in orange. I can go back to train mode, and here look at the text. It is changing to indicate that I have switched to another tab. You can see that here we have a hover effect, and if I click on one of these cards, I will move on to another environment or into another scene. I will not show you this right now. I'll show it at the end because I don't want to go to the other scene. Here again we have the hover effect, and if I click on the settings icon, you can see that we have a modal. Here we can put anything you want. You can click on the X button to exit. We have another modal here that shows the key description. Here you can put anything you want. I'm just going to show you how to build this, and then you can customize it to suit your application or your game. If I click on this X button, I will quit the game. I will not do that. Now let me click on this card. You can see that I have moved to another scene. You can go back by adding another button here, but I will show you just the UI, how to build it inside of Unity. Okay, so this is what we are going to be building in this video. Now go to Unity Hub and create a new 3D game or a new 3D project. Okay, so just put anything here and click on create. Now that our project was created, the first thing we need to do is to add the canvas. To do this, right click and go to UI and add the canvas. Okay, go to the inspector. Here we need to change the constant pixel size to scale with screen size, and I will set it to 1920 by 1080. Feel free to choose any resolution that you like. After that, inside the canvas, I am going to add an empty game object. I will call it container. Here I will add an image. Okay, so you can see that the image is white. I will choose a darker shade of gray. Okay, then I will click on this icon. Here, hold Alt and click. You can see that this made the image take the whole screen size. And to show this, I will change the color just to make sure that this is actually working. You can see that the image now is taking the whole width of, or the whole size of the canvas. This is what we want. Good. Now I will show you how we can work on the UI in Unity. I will go back to the project that I have showed you in the beginning. Here I will disable this game object, and I will enable this one that I called canvas debugging. This is how I work when I want to create something complex in Unity. You can see that these colors help me see the rows, the columns, and where each element should be located. The first thing that we need to do is to create 4 rows. You can see that here, this is a row, this is the second row, this is the third row, and this is the fourth row. If I expand this, you can see that inside the container I have 4 rows. Let me show you how this looks like. You can see that the first row contains the icon as well as the title of the game. The second row contains these 2 tabs. The third row contains the cards, and the fourth one contains the credit text. Now let's go back to our project, and here I will add 4 empty objects. I will call this one row 1. Let's duplicate it 3 times, and I will rename these to row 2, row 3, and finally row 4. Good. I'll select them all. Click on the first game object, hold shift and click on the last game object to select them all. Add a image component to them and change the colors accordingly, just to be able to see the rows independently. This one I will make it gray, this one will be green, This one will be, let's say, red. And finally, the last row will be, let's say, blue or purple. Okay, good. Now, because these rows are stacked up vertically, we need to select the container and add the vertical layout group. You can see that using this component, we can stack these rows vertically. But you can see that here we have some gaps. In order to fix this, come here and check these two boxes. Okay, so we are getting the results, something that looks okay, but we need to change the width of the rows as we like. Okay, to do this, we need to remove the height from here. You can see now they disappeared. I'll show you how to solve this. Select all the rows again. Go back here and add the layout element components. Using this component, we can specify the height as we would like. Let me show you how to do this. If I check preferred height, I can say 100. You can see that now that all the rows have a height equal to 100 pixels or 100 units in Unity. So this is why I have unchecked this box, so that I can modify the height of each row independently. For example, if I want to make the first row take 500 pixels, I can do that just by adding the layout element. But actually, I don't like to use the preferred height, but what I'd like to use is, let me show you, is the flexible height. So this is what I like to use. Here you give a weight to each row. Let me show you. For example, here we have 1 in each one of these rows, but I will take this one and I will make it 3. So you can see now that the first row is taking half the size or half the width of the canvas. Sorry, it is taking half the height of the canvas. Why? Because here, if you take these numbers and add them up, here you have 3, plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. If you take 3 and divide it by 6, it will give you 0.5, which is 50%. Okay, so this is why I prefer to work with the flexible height, because it gives me a lot of flexibility to design or to give the height to each one of these game objects. I hope this is easy to understand. Now I will add some padding, let's say 50 pixels in each side. Okay, and I will go back to row 1. I will make it 2 for now. Let's go to row 3 and give it a weight of 5. I will increase it to 8 just to get the same result that we have here. So here it is set to 2. I'll set this one to 2 also. Okay, I will increase this to 10. Let's say 15. Okay, so 15 looks good. I will just increase this one to 2. Actually, I will keep it 1 and decrease this to 14. Okay, so now we have the 4 rows set up, and now we need to go inside each row and add the other elements. Let's start working on the first row. I will add 2 empty objects. I will call them column 1 and column 2. Here, click on row 1 and add the horizontal layout group. Why we are doing this? Because we want to stack the columns horizontally. Select column 1 and column 2 and add the image components. Here I'll give this one a orange color and the other one I'll give it a blue color. Okay. Now again, go back to row 1 and check these two boxes, width and height. Good. Here, I don't want to play with the width because I think there is no problem with that, because I will put the icon here in the right side, so I don't need to play with the widths. So I'll keep it like this. Now inside column 1, add a text mesh pro. Okay, so we have our text inserted here. I'll call it title, game title. And here our game is called Safety First. Feel free to change the name however you like. I'll go back to the scene view. So you can see that here is our text object. You can see that I want to put it here on the left side of the first column. To do this, we have a lot of options, but the option that I will use is this. Click on center. You can click once and then hit Alt and click one more time. Okay, so you can see now that the text is on the top left corner. To fix this, just go down, click and change the alignments. So center it in the middle and click on alignment left. And here you can add a margin left of 50 pixels, for example. Let me go back to game view. Okay, this looks good. I'll just change the font to 48. And let me see, I don't want to make it bold. I'll keep it like this. Now let's add the icons to the second column. To do this, first we need to add 3 empty objects. I'll call the first icon settings. I'll duplicate it twice. This one should be help and the last one should be close. I will add the image component to each one of the game objects. Here I have the icons already here in the project. Make sure to go to the video description to get them, or use any icons that you have. I'll drag and drop the settings image, the help image, and lastly the close image. This is the result that we have right now. To place these icons to the right side of the column, we have many options, but I'll show you one. We can select all these icons. Let's go back to the scene view. Here you can see that we have the bounding box. Let's click here and let's anchor it to the right side. Okay, so you click once, then you hit Alt and click one more time so that they get placed in the right side. Now we can add a little bit of margin. Let's make it -100. You can play with these numbers if you want to. And to reduce the size of the images, you can play with the scale. Okay, I'll make it 0.5. I'll push the settings and help buttons together. Okay, so this is how they look like in the game view. You can play with the margins, but I'm just showing you how to add them. I'm not gonna go into details because I will waste time. So the first row now is complete. We will come to it once we want to add the hover effect and what will happen if I click on one of these buttons. But let's finish the design first. So let's close the first row. In the second row, we will add 2 empty game objects. The first one, I'll call it train tab. And the second one should be called test tab. Let's go back to the original project. You can see that here, if I expand this, we have 2 columns. The first one is the training tab, as the second one is the testing tab. Okay, good. So because these are columns, we need to go back to the row number 2 and add the horizontal layout group. You can see that we are now just repeating the steps that we have done earlier. So I'll check these checkboxes. I'll come back to train and test tab, and I will add the image component. I will change the color to, let's say, yellow, and I'll go back to row 2, and here you can see that the two columns don't take the whole width of the canvas. To do this, select row 2 and uncheck child force expand width, and go back to your childs and add the layout element. Here we can specify a preferred width. I will make it 150 or 200. Okay, so 200 looks good to me. I'll change this color to pink, and now we need to add the text component, or the text mesh pro. I'll name it train, and inside test tab I will add another text mesh pro, and I will call it test. Good. Let's go back to the scene view and let's see how this looks like. Okay, so as you can see that the text is right here. I will go to the top, and here I will hit Alt and click. Let's go down and align it in the center, like so. Now this looks great. Let me just change the text to say test, and we will do the same thing for the training test. So train, go to the top, hit Alt and click on this last option, and let's align it in the center. Let's go back to the game view, and this looks good to me. We just need to remove the colors and everything will look good. Now let's move on to the third row. And one more time, the logic of selecting the tabs will be done after we finish the design. Here in the third row, you can see that we have 3 columns. Each one of the columns has 2 rows. The first row will hold the image, and the second row will hold the text. Let's do this. I will add an empty object. I will call it card1, duplicate it twice, and rename them accordingly. Card2, and finally card3. I will add the image component to each one of the cards, and I will give them the same color, because why not? Here I'll go back to row 3, because these are columns. I need to add the horizontal layout group. Okay, so I think these didn't get the image, so I'll add it quickly. Let's add an image, and this one too, and let's give them the same color. Now the design doesn't look great. Why? Because here we need to select row 3 and add some padding. Let's see, I'll add 50 in each side and see how this looks like. And I'll add some spacing between the cards. I'll make it 50 too. Okay, so this looks good. Now, inside each one of these cards, we need to have 2 things. I will add the first empty object. I'll call it image container, and the second empty object should be text. I will add an image to the image container, and I will make it this color. Okay, I'll make it dark green. I'm going to do this for the first card, then I'll just duplicate it to create the second and the third card, so that we don't waste time. Here, because we have 2 elements that are going to be stacked up vertically, we need to add the vertical layout group. I'll control the child size and height, and this right now doesn't look great. Why? Because if I select text and add image, you can see that the text is taking a lot of place, and here we want it to take just a dozen pixels. We don't want it to take the half the size of the card. How to solve this? Let's see if you remember. We need to come here and remove height. After that, we select image container and text, and we add the layout element, and here we specify the flexible height. By default it's set to 1. I don't want that. I'll just keep increasing this until I get something that looks good. Okay, so I'll keep it at 6. 6 looks good to me. Now we have the image container. Inside this we will add another empty object, and I will call it image. Here I have all the images that you are going to need. Again, I will put them in the video description so that you can install them or you can download them and use them. Here let's add the image component, and I will take this image and put it here. You can see now it looks small, but we can play with the scale. Let's make it 4 or even 5. So 5 looks good. Now inside the text container, I'll change the name. I will add a text mesh pro, like so, and I'll call it PPE because this is the first environment. So PPE environment. This doesn't look great because the text, the background is white. So let's change it to a dark gray. And the text here also doesn't look good. Let's go back to scene view to see why is this happening. Okay, so as you can see, the bounding box of the text doesn't take the whole size of the container. To solve this, it's easy. Just click here, hit Alt and select the last option. Now go down and align the text to the center. Okay, so this is very easy, and now we are just repeating steps. Okay, go back to the game view, and this looks great. Now, because I have finished working on the first card, I'll just delete the other ones and duplicate this twice. I'll rename them accordingly and change the image as well as the text. So here we have the file environment. I'll change the text to say that instead of PPE it should be fire. Here also, and finally let's go to the third column. Here the image should be this hourglass. We need to change the color to a dark shade of gray. Why am I doing this? Because this will indicate that we will have other environments that we will add in the future. So I'll name this to coming soon, and let's change the text to say that coming soon. Now we have just one more row to work on, and it's going to be easy. We just need to add the text mesh pro, and here you can write anything. For example, here we have wrote our names because this is a school project, and we have added the credits section. Here, as I said, we have written created by, and we have added our names. I'll do this quickly and I'll come back. Okay, so this is the text. Now let's go to scene view. You can see that the bounding box is not taking the whole size of the row. Let's fix it. Hit Alt and click here. Now let's change the alignment, and let's make the text a bit smaller. Let's make it 24. Let's go back to game view to see. Yes, this looks good to me. And congratulations, you have finished working on the layout. Now this is why I use the colors, because they help me design the menu very quickly, or anything inside of Unity. Now let's see how it looks like without the colors. So I'll just deactivate the containers like this. Let's go back to the 3 cards. Let's deactivate the image component. Let's do that here also. Inside the cards we need to remove the color from the image container as well as the text container. Or actually, let's see, because here it doesn't look great. Yes, so we need to add these colors. We will do that. Let's just remove the unnecessary colors from the design. Okay, so we have the first row, Let's remove the colors from the columns. Let's remove the color from the second row. And I think this is good. Let's just take these colors because I like them more. So we have the third row. I'll take the third row. Let's expand this and let's take this color. Let's go back to our project. Here, select the third row and in the color paste this one. Okay, so this gives it a good look. Here we will do that for the first and the second columns of the second row. So let's change the color to 29, 29, 29. And here you can see that the train tab should be selected by default. This is why it has a color. Let's make it orange, or let's make it pink. Why not? Let's change a bit. And after that we will add the logic to switch between tabs. Now the last thing we need to do is to add the color for each one of the cards. Let's do this. Let me first collapse all these rows that we don't need to work with. Here, card 1, we need to select the image container. Let's activate this and let's take these colors. I'll take the first color of the first card and I'll paste it here. Let's go to the second card's image container and let's take this red color. Okay, and we need to remove the image from the text container. And finally we have coming soon. Let's fix it also. Let's expand this. Here we have a dark gray color. Let's do this. Okay, and finally we will remove the color from the text container. Now the button, this should be buttons, but we didn't do that right now. This is why the color of this coming soon button is not looking like this one, and I need to make the image a bit smaller. Okay, 4 looks good. Now because these are buttons, we need to select them all. I'll select the image container of each one of the cards separately like this. If you want to select them like this, you click on the first one, you hit Control and click on the second one, you keep clicking on Control and click on the last one. Good. Now just add the button component. And let's select the third card because this button should be disabled. Okay, so now it looks gray, indicating that we cannot click on this button because this environment will come soon. And here you can play with the disabled color. You can make it black like this to indicate that we cannot click on it. And the hover effect will not work also. Let me change the color of this hourglass because it doesn't look great. I will make it a bit darker. Okay, this looks good to me. Now let's collapse this because we have finished working on the third card, and let's select the first and second cards. Now we need to play with the highlighted colors. Okay, I'll click on highlighted color and I'll make it a bit gray. And let's save the project. Let's play the game and see how the highlighted color looks like. So as you can see, when I hover on the cards, I get this color. So this is the gray color that we have chosen. And if I go to the third button, you can see that there is no hover effect because this button is disabled. To show this, if I click on this, you can see that we get this animation indicating that this button has been clicked. Right now we don't have this option for the 2 tabs. We will do that right now. We will come back to the first and second cards because when we click on them, we want to go to the appropriate scene. But right now, let's continue working on the second row. As I said, these should have the button component, so let's do that quickly. Let's play the game and see if the hover effect works or not, because I think we don't need to change these colors. But if you want to do that, experiment. Okay, so you can see that the hover effect is working, but it's subtle. It's not showing well. Let's see why. Okay, because the first tab didn't have the button. Okay, so this was the problem. But if you want to show it, well, you can come here to highlighted color and make it a bit dark. Let's play the game one more time and see if this is going to work or not. Okay, so as you can see, now the hover effect is working. We can see it very well in the train mode because we have a bright color, but here in the test mode, in the test tab, it is, I can see it, but it's not as apparent as the train tab. But this is working. And if I click, yes, we can see the click animation. Now, I think the last thing we need to work on is these icons. So let's do that quickly. Expand the first row, expand the column, the number 2, and here let's select all these game objects and let's add the button. Again, let's make it this color a bit gray. You can make it gray or you can make it the same color as the tab. This is what I have done in this project. When I hover over these buttons, they change their colors to match the color of the tab. To do this, it's easy. I have all the buttons selected. Just come here to the pressed color and I'll select this pink color. Okay, save the game, hit play. You can see that the hover effect is working. It's showing the gray color. If I click, you can see that we get a pink color. This is what I was talking about. Good, so everything now is working, I think. The design looks good. You can play with the parameters that we have here, for example. You can change the padding, you can change the layout, you can do anything. I have given you how you work with the layout elements, with the horizontal and vertical layout groups, and you saw that we have been repeating some steps a lot of time. Now we have all the necessary tools that will help you build anything you want inside of Unity. So feel free to change the layout however you like, and I hope that you can make good designs. I have one more problem. This safety first and these icons should be aligned with the right and left side of this container. So let's do that. Here, let's select the game title and let's make this to 0. Okay, this looks now good. Let's select these columns and I think we need to add 50. Yes, we need to add 50 to the icons. Or let's add 70 because I don't like the margins. Yes, this looks good. And here I will add 100. No, it's not here. Let's add it to settings. Here I will add 100 minus 10 or 20. You can play with the margins, but this looks good. Now, let's work on the cards. I will go back and create a new folder. I will call it scripts. And here I will add a new script. I will call it move to scene. This script will allow me to move between scenes. And don't forget that inside the scenes folder, we need to create 2 new scenes. Let's create the PPE scene and the fire scene. As I said, this scene should be named fire. Now we need to do one more thing. Click on File, Build Settings, and here we need to drag and drop the new scenes. Okay, so this is now good, because if you don't do this, then the script will not work. Let's go back to scripts and let's open this script so that I can show you what you need to add. The first thing we need to do is to remove these functions because we don't need them. And here let's add Unity scene management. Okay, so you need to use this. Here I will add 2 methods. Let's call it open PPE scene. Okay, and I'll add a new one called public void open fire scene. Okay, so make sure that the name that you have here is the same name that you have here. So PPE should be here and fire should be here. If you don't do this, this is not gonna work. Now save this file and go back to Unity, expand the third row, expand card1 and card2, and inside image container we need to drag the script that we have created. Okay, so let's drag and drop it here and here. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so here we have the, I think I didn't drop it. Yes, so now I can see it. Here, when the button is clicked, I want to reference this script, and I want to select Open PPE Scene. Okay, let's go to the second card and let's do the same thing. I'll take a reference to the script and I will call the Open Fire Scene method. Okay, now let's save the game. Let's hit play and see if this is going to work or not. You can see that the hover effect is working. When I click on PPE environment, you can see that PPE scene now has been loaded. Let's verify if the fire button or the fire card is working too or not, so that we can move to work on the tabs. Okay, let's click, and as you can see, the fire scene is loaded successfully. Good. Now let's see what we need to do inside this script. So double click on change tab color. So this is what we did. You need to add Unity engine.ui, and here we have two methods. So activate tab and the active tab, or active tab should be a good name. Here we are getting the components, the image components from this game object. So we are going to get this, and then we are going to change the color manually using the script. Okay, so we have new color 32, and these numbers, where do we get them? From here. So you can see we have 250, 77, and 224. These are the numbers that I have here. Okay, now add this, save the script, and go back to Unity. Here you need to select these two game objects and add the change tab color script to them. Let's say that I have clicked on train tab. What I want to do, I want to activate this tab and deactivate this one. This is what we will do. So click on plus. Here, take the train tab game object and select change tab color and call the active tab. Let's do this one more time, but this time we will deactivate this one. Select change tab color script and deactivate tab color. Let's do this here also. Click on plus, drag the train tab. We need to deactivate it because we have clicked on the test tab. Click plus, drag the test tab game object, select change tab color and activate this tab. Let's see if this is working or not. Save the game and hit play. Okay, so as you can see, the hover effect is working. Now if I click on test, you can see that it is selected. If I click on train, it's selected. Okay, so this is working great. Now we just need to switch the content based on which tab is being selected. Okay, let me show you how I will do this. I will take row 3 and duplicate it. Yes, this is not looking good, but no problem. I'll just rename this one to train. Okay, so and this one should be called test. What does this mean? This means that if the train tab is selected, I need to show this, and this one should be hidden. If I click on test, this one should be visible, and the first one should be disabled. But here, to show the difference, I will change the text to say PPE environment 0 out of 10. This is indicating a score. Let's do that for the second card, 0 out of 10. And the last card should not have that because we don't have an environment for it. Okay, let's see how to make this. First, I'll activate this one by default because as I said, the train tab is the default tab. Here I need to go to the second row and I need to click on train tab, and here I need to add two things. So click plus. Here we need to drag the row 3 train, and here select game object and set active as true. Click plus, and here we need to deactivate this one. So we will do this game object set active, and we need to set it to false. Setting it to false, it's like what you do when we click here. Okay, let's do that for the test tab. Let's click plus. Let's select row 3 train. This should be disabled like so. Click plus and drag row 3 test. Game object set active, set to true. Save the game, hit play, and let's test. Okay, click test. You can see that the content has been changed successfully. Let's move back to train. Okay, so this is working. The last thing we need to add or we need to work on is these icons. First of all, let's work on the close button because it's easy. Once I click on this button, I should close the game. Let's add a new script for that. Let's call it quit button. Okay, I will take this and add it to the close button like so. Double click on the script, add a new method called public void quit game. Here I will add debug.log quit just to see this in console, and normally we do this application.quit, but this will only work if you build the app or if you build the game. But during testing you need to add this. So unity editor dot editor application is plain is equal to false. If you do this, then you can close the game even if you are developing the game. Save this script, go back to Unity, click on the close button. Here click plus, drag the quick button script, and here let's call the quit game method. Save the game, hit play, and let's see if this will work. Let's click, and as you can see, we have quit in the console and the game is no longer playing. Good. Now let's see how to show the modal when we click on these two buttons. But before I do that, let me go back to the original project and let's show you how this looks like if you have forgot. So when I click on the settings button, this what happens. You can see that here we have a gray color. So this just separates the modal from the background, and we have a next button that we can click on to go back to the main menu. We have the same thing here, but we have a big image. Good. Let's close the game, or let's quit the game, and let's go back to our project. The first thing we need to do is to add a new empty game object. I will call it settings modal. Here we need to add an image. I will stretch it so that it takes the whole size of the canvas. Again, hit Alt and click on the last option. I will make the color black, but I will decrease the alpha. I will make it 170. Okay, inside the settings modal, I will add a new empty object. Let me call it card. And let's add an image to it. And here I'll change the width and height to 500 by 700. And the color should be, I'll take this color. Okay, so this is our main or the settings modal. Here we need to add an image to the top. This is the same image, I will put it here. Let's see how to do this. First, we need to add an empty game object. I will call it header. Inside the header, I need to add the image. So create empty, close button, and let's add the image component to it. Let's go to assets, icons, and let's drag this icon. This looks big, so let's make it a bit smaller. 0.3 looks great. Now it's in the center. How to fix this? It's easy. Just go to card and add a vertical layout group. You can see that we have the X here, but we can put it on the other side if we desire to. Go back to the vertical layout group, click on width and height, and I don't like this because why this is showing like this, because if I add an image here just for debugging purposes, you can see that because we have one row which is the header, it is taking the whole size of the card. We don't want this, so go back to card, uncheck height, and here let's add the layout element, and now we can specify our preferred height as we would like. Let's make it 70. Yes, 70 looks great. Let's go back to scene view. Let's zoom in so that you can see how to place the icon. Okay, so we have our icon here. It's easy, just click here, hit Alt, click, and you can see now our icon is located in the top right side of the card. Go back to header and remove the color. Okay, so this looks great. If you want to add some padding, you can do this. Just come here and add a padding of I don't know, let's make it 10 in both top and right. This doesn't look great. Let's make it 0. Okay, so you can play with this. Now let's add the button component to the icon. Let's change the highlighted color to a gray color, and once I click on this button, what should happen? I need to remove the settings modal, so it should be disabled like this. Okay, it's easy. Go back to close. Here, the close button, where I have added the button. Let's see, I have added it in the wrong place. Okay, I need to remove it from here and add it to close button. Button, yes, let's change the highlighted color to a gray color. Here, click plus. Let's drag the whole settings modal and let's disable it. Okay, so you can see that the steps are now being repeated. Let's make it disabled by default. Now, if I click on the settings button, what should happen? Let's click plus. I need to enable the settings modal, so it should be enabled once I click on this button. Save the game, hit play, and let's go for testing. Okay, good. By default, we don't see the modal, but once I click on this button, you can see now that it is appearing, and you can see that I cannot click anywhere else because this modal is showing, and you can see that even the gray color is separating the modal from the background. Once I click on this button, you can see now that I am back to the main menu and I can click on any one of these icons. Great, this is actually working as intended. Now let's finish the project by working on the help button. Let's add a new empty game object and let's call it help modal. Again, I'll just copy and paste what I have done here. So we need to add the image. Let's stretch it to take the whole size of the canvas. We need to change this color to black and let's make the alpha equal to 170. Now I need to add a new empty game object, so I will call it container. Then this time it should be very big. I'll make it 1720 by 880, and let's add an image so that we can see it. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Let me take the color from this project. Okay, so it's this one, 12, 12, 12. Now, inside the container, we need to add two elements or two rows. Let me show you. I will enable this again. You can see that we have the first row, it contains the button and the text, and the second one contains the image. You can see that we have two rows here. Let's add them. Create empty row 1, duplicate it, and rename it to row 2. And here, again, you should know this by now, so I need to add vertical layout group. Let's check these two checkboxes. Let's add the image just to make sure that everything looks good. Let's add it here too. Let's change the colors. Let's make this one red, and this one, let's make it green. Why not? You can see that we are not getting the result that we need. So let's remove child force expand height. Let's select row 1 and row 2, and let's add layout elements. Let's select row 2 and row 1, select them both. Let's check this box, and here this row should be very big. So I'll give it a weight of 8. Now I think I can remove the colors. I don't need them anymore. So let's disable the image. Nice. Now inside row 2, I will add a new empty object. I'll call it image container. And inside image container, I will add the image. And the image that I will be using is this one. But first of all, let's add the image component. Let's go to the image folder and let's add this image. Right now it is not looking great because we need to select image container and we need to expand it so that it takes the whole size of the canvas or the whole size of the row. After that, select image and make the width 1920 by 1080. Okay, so this looks very big, but because this is the original size of the image. Now click here and scale it down so that it looks great. I'll make it 0.7, 0.5. Let's make it 0.5, 0.6. Okay, 0.6. This looks good. So you can play with this. I'm just showing you how this works. Now go back to row 1. I will add the image back, but this time I will change the color to let's make it this gray. And here, to separate between the images, I'll go back to container, game object, and I will add 20 pixels of spacing, or 10. I will take this color, I'll remove it, and I will add it to row 2. Why I have done this? Because I wanted to show this gap. I don't know if you see it or not. Let me zoom in. You can see that I have added this gap just by using spacing. Okay, this gives it a good look. Now inside row 1, we need to add two things. We need to add the text, and let's call it key or controller keys, and we will add a new a new empty object. I will call it close. This should be an image, so let's add that. Let's go back to icons and let's drag and drop this. Let's make it small, 0.3 as we did earlier, and let's align it to the right. Okay, so it looks very great. Now we need to add the button to it. Let's make the highlighted color a bit gray, and let's add plus. This should be familiar to you. We need to select the whole container or the whole help modal. We need to drag and drop it here. Let's select game object and we need to disable it. We don't want to show it. Now go back to the controller's keys, and here let's see what I have done here. So it should say key description. Right now it doesn't look great. Why? Because we need to select this, hit Alt click here and align it to the center. Let's add a padding of 50 pixels, and you get the result that you want. If I think that I need to change the color of this health modal or the alpha, because I don't want to show the background very well. Okay, I think this is a good result. Now let's hide this. Let's go back to container. Let's select help, the help button. Here, click plus. Let's drag the whole help modal, and we need to activate it once we click on the help button. Save the game, hit play, and let's see if this is working. Let's click on settings first. It's working. And let's click on help. Okay, you can see that the help modal is looking great actually. Let's click on X, and yes, let's quit the game. Everything works. Nice. This is what I wanted to show you guys in this video. I hope that you have now a general idea about the components that we have in Unity when it comes to UI, and I would love to see what you can build with the tools that I have showed you right now. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the upcoming videos.